Waking in the eternal city. Close your eyes, and let yourself drift. The present begins to fade, and a different world rises gently in its place. Imagine stone beneath your feet, the hush of dawn, and the weight of centuries pressing softly around you. You are in ancient Rome, the eternal city, the heart of an empire, and the stage upon which history itself was written. It is morning. The kind of morning that does not come with alarm clocks or hurried schedules, but with the natural rhythm of light spilling slowly over rooftops and courtyards. The night has ended quietly, and the first breaths of the new day are only just beginning. The air is cool, kissed by the faintest warmth of a rising sun. Overhead, the sky lightens from indigo to pale gold, while a soft mist clings to the narrow lanes, curling around the bases of tall stone walls and lingering like a memory. The city stirs, but only lightly. You hear it before you see it. A cart's will creak somewhere in the distance, its wooden rim catching against the uneven cobblestones. Hooves strike in steady rhythm, a horse guided by a man whose voice murmurs softly to calm the animal. Farther still, muffled through the morning air, a door swings open, and a bark of laughter escapes as neighbors greet one another in these earliest hours. Rome is vast, and it is mighty, but at dawn it feels like something more intimate, like a household gently rising from sleep. The mighty walls of temples and basilicas stand silent in the pale light, but from within the modest apartments and insulae, life begins to stir. Imagine yourself walking within one of these Roman homes. The floor beneath you is of cool mosaic, its tiny stones pressed into patterns that glimmer faintly where the morning light reaches them. A clay jug of water rests nearby, condensation beating upon its sides. You pour it carefully into a shallow basin, dipping your hands, splashing your face, and washing away the last remnants of night. The water is cold, drawn from the aqueducts that run like veins through the city, carrying pure streams from distant hills and mountains. With each splash, you feel connected not only to your home, but to the vast, unseen lifeblood of Rome itself, an engineering marvel flowing silently through stone channels, arches, and underground passages, sustaining the lives of a million souls. You rise slowly and move toward the doorway. Pushing it open, you are greeted by the morning air. It carries with it the scent of bread baking, sharp and warm, drifting from a nearby oven. There is also the faint tang of smoke from last night's extinguished lamps, mingling with the earthy smell of dust and stone. Rome is not polished clean, but textured with life, every breath filled with hints of labor, of food, of fire, and of people. The street before you is narrow, paved with stones polished by countless footsteps. On either side rise tall, crowded buildings, their upper levels leaning close together, as though whispering across the street. Wooden balconies hang above, some draped with drying clothes that sway faintly in the morning breeze. Between them, a strip of sky glows with the first light of dawn, promising warmth to come. Listen closely. The city hums. Somewhere a woman calls to her child, urging him to hurry with his chores. A baker slides loaves from the oven, their crusts crackling in the morning air. Two men pass with baskets of olives, their voices raised in a cheerful argument about prices and trades. A dog trots by, tail wagging, sniffing eagerly for scraps. This is the Suburra, a crowded, lively quarter of Rome, full of noise and motion even at dawn. Here, life unfolds in layers, a mixture of laughter and struggle, of smells both sweet and sour, of voices rising and falling like waves against the stone walls. You take your first steps into the street. The stones are uneven beneath your feet, cool from the night air. As you walk, your hand brushes the rough wall of a building beside you, its surface worn smooth in some places by generations of contact. You notice the faint scratchings of graffiti etched into the plaster, names, messages, small declarations of love or rivalry. Even here, even in these simplest marks, you feel the pulse of life. As you wander farther, the neighborhood begins to brighten. The sun rises higher, spilling golden light onto the rooftops. Shadows stretch long across the street, then shorten as the day advances. Vendors begin setting out their wares, baskets of figs, heaps of dates, amphorae of wine sealed with wax. A boy carries a tray of honey cakes, their sweet aroma carried on the breeze. The calls of merchants blend together into a low chorus, a kind of song that fills the morning air. The deeper you walk into the city, the more it reveals. Fountains bubble gently, carved from stone and fed by the aqueducts, offering cool water to any who pass. Children play here, dipping their hands into the basins, splashing one another while their mothers scold them half-heartedly. A pair of elderly men sit upon a low wall, their voices low as they share stories of campaigns and journeys long past. Overhead, doves wheel in the sky, their wings catching the light as they circle the rooftops. Slowly, step by step, you approach the Forum, the very heart of Rome. The streets widen here, opening into grander spaces where marble columns rise in rows, catching the morning sun like pale flames. The Forum is alive with motion. Merchants spread out their goods across wooden stalls, spices from the east, dyed fabrics in deep purples and reds, jars of olive oil gleaming in the light. The scent of pepper and cinnamon drifts through the air, mingling with the sharp tang of freshly cut herbs. Coins clink as hands exchange them, their metallic ring cutting through the murmur of voices. Nearby, a group of orators gather, raising their voices in practiced rhythm, their words carrying across the square as they debate matters of law and philosophy. Their gestures are animated, their robes flowing as they speak with conviction. A crowd gathers around them, some listening intently, others simply pausing on their way, content to absorb the sound without thought of meaning. Children run between the columns, their laughter echoing as they chase one another. Dogs bark and dart after them, tails wagging. The bustle is constant, yet there is a harmony to it, a rhythm that feels almost like the beating of a great heart. You stand at the center of it all, surrounded by the living pulse of Rome. Everywhere you turn, there is movement, color, sound. And yet, even amid this clamor, a kind of stillness settles over you. You are not rushed. You are not in a hurry. You drift as though in a dream, each step carrying you deeper into the fabric of this ancient city. The sun climbs higher still. Shadows shorten. Marble shines with brilliance. The warmth of the day begins to seep into the stones beneath your feet, radiating upward in a gentle embrace. The eternal city has fully awakened, stretching its limbs, lifting its voice, and welcoming another day. And you quietly, unhurried, at peace walk on, carried along by the flow of Rome, as though you have always belonged to it. A day in the Roman streets. The sun has risen fully now, and the eternal city is awake. Where dawn had been quiet, measured, and soft, the morning has become a living current, flowing through every street and square. Rome is not a city that stirs slowly once its people rise, life floods outward in waves, filling every alley, every market, every space with sound and movement. Step into the streets once more, and listen. The clatter of cart wheels striking against stone. The rhythmic tap of sandals, countless footsteps echoing against the walls of narrow lanes. Voices hundreds, then thousands of voices blending into a hum that rises and falls like the tide. The air is thick with smells, a tapestry of scents woven together. There is the warmth of bread still steaming from bakery ovens, loaves piled high and dusted with flour. There is the sweetness of figs, heaped in baskets, their skins glistening in the light. There is the tang of fish laid out on stalls, fresh from the Tiber or carried in from the sea. And there is the heavy smoke of cooking fires, where meat crackles over open flames, its juices hissing into the coals. These are the smells of Rome, abundant, rich, layered with the realities of everyday life. Not every scent is pleasant. From side alleys comes the sour trace of refuse, the sharpness of leather tanning, the iron tang of metal being hammered into shape. Yet together, they create something whole, something unmistakable, the breath of a city that is both polished and raw. You pass a baker at his stall. His arms are dusted white with flour, his hair damp with sweat, though the day is still young. He works quickly, cutting and shaping dough, sliding it into the heat of his great clay oven. Each loaf emerges golden, crust crisp, steam curling upward in little clouds. Customers crowd around him, coins clinking in their hands, eager for the day's bread. Beyond him, a spice seller displays goods from distant lands: cinnamon curled into fragrant sticks, saffron glowing in threads of red and gold, pepper piled high in little mounds. These spices have traveled far, across seas and deserts, through the hands of countless traders, to arrive here in the Forum of Rome. To the Roman people, they are treasures, luxuries, symbols of the empire's reach into every corner of the known world. Children dart between the stalls, weaving through legs and baskets, laughing as they chase one another. A mother calls after her son, who has already disappeared into the crowd, a mischievous smile on his face. Dogs lope lazily through the market, noses pressed to the ground, tails wagging when they find a scrap dropped from a table. And through it all, the sound of commerce. The bargaining, the laughter, the raised voices. A merchant shouts the virtues of his wool, dyed a deep red. Another argues over the price of olive oil, gesturing with wide, exasperated sweeps of his hands. Coins exchange hands constantly, the metallic ring punctuating the flow of conversation. You pause by a fountain. Water pours from the carved. Walking on, you pass craftsmen at their work. A blacksmith hammers iron, sparks leaping into the air with each strike. His muscles gleam with sweat, his face set in concentration. Nearby, a potter turns his wheel, shaping clay into graceful curves, his hands steady, practiced, patient. The finished pots gleam in the sunlight, their surfaces painted with patterns of red and black. The streets narrow again as you wander from the Forum into the living quarters of Rome. Here the buildings rise high, their walls casting deep shadows onto the cobblestones below. From open windows, voices drift, a woman singing softly as she works, a baby crying, laughter spilling from a gathering of neighbors. The city's life is not only in its grand monuments and temples, but in these small, ordinary sounds, the heartbeat of Rome's people. At midday, the streets grow hotter. The sun pours down, striking marble and stone until they glow with light. People crowd into shaded spaces, gathering beneath awnings and porticos. Taverns open their doors wide, their interiors cool and dark, filled with the smell of wine and roasted food. Inside, men sit at low tables, sipping from clay cups, talking in voices that grow louder as the drink flows. Servants move quickly between them, balancing trays, refilling bowls, clearing plates. Outside, food sellers work along the streets. You pass a man with a tray of honey cakes, and so, you continue your wandering. Past fountains. Past temples. Past the endless faces of Rome, each with its own story, its own place within the great tapestry of the eternal city. The day in the Roman streets has been long, full, alive. But it has also been calm in its own way, a steady current carrying you deeper into the heart of history. As the sun sets, the city prepares once again to transform to become a place of lamps and shadows, of quiet voices and soft night air. For now, you pause. You breathe. You feel yourself still within Rome, a part of its endless rhythm, its unbroken story. Within the Roman home. The streets are alive, filled with sound and movement, but as the day lengthens and the air grows warmer, you find yourself stepping away from the flow. You turn from the markets, from the calls of vendors and the clatter of carts, and move toward the quieter spaces of Rome, toward the doorway of a home. The change is immediate. Crossing the threshold is like stepping from sunlight into shade, from the rush of voices into a softened silence. You feel the coolness of stone beneath your feet, the air gentler here, carrying the faint scent of oil lamps and polished wood. The sounds of the street still linger faintly beyond the door, but inside, they are muted, hushed, distant. You stand in the atrium, the heart of the Roman house. Light filters in through the compluvium of the open square in the roof above, casting a soft glow across the floor. Beneath it, the shallow pool of the impluvium catches the light, its surface rippling faintly as drops of water fall from the open sky above. This space is both practical and sacred, a gathering place for water, a place of light, and a place where the household begins its day. The atrium is quiet, yet alive with detail. The walls are painted in rich colors, deep reds, earthy browns, warm ochres, their surfaces decorated with scenes of gardens, landscapes, and gods. The paintings are not just decoration, but a reminder of the world beyond, brought into the intimacy of the home. Small bronze lamps rest upon shelves, their flames extinguished in the daylight, waiting to be lit again when night returns. A small shrine, the lararium, stands near the wall, holding figures of the household gods. Offerings rest before them: a bowl of fruit, a small dish of wine, a sprig of laurel. These simple acts, repeated day after day, connect the family to the divine, weaving the sacred into the fabric of ordinary life. You move slowly through the space, your footsteps soft against the mosaic floor. From somewhere deeper in the house comes the faint sound of voices, low and steady. The rhythm of daily life flows here too, but it is a quieter rhythm, one of family, of servants, of household tasks unfolding in their own time. Passing through the atrium, you enter the peristyle, a courtyard open to the sky, surrounded by columns. Here, the air is fresh, filled with the scent of earth and green things. A small garden grows in the center, with flowering plants, herbs, and perhaps a fig tree spreading its leaves toward the light. Birds flit in and out, their calls gentle, blending with the murmur of water from a small fountain. This space is a sanctuary. In the heart of the crowded city, the peristyle is a pocket of calm, a place where the family gathers to eat, to talk, to rest. Sunlight spills across the stone, warming the columns, casting their shadows long and soft across the ground. The sound of the streets has faded almost completely. Here, the world is reduced to the steady rhythm of footsteps, the rustle of leaves, the trickle of water. In one corner of the peristyle, a servant tends to the kitchen. The air is warm with the smell of herbs: rosemary, thyme, basil crushed and mixed with oil. You watch as she stirs a pot over the fire, steam rising into the air. The scent is rich, earthy, comforting. Nearby, bread bakes slowly in a clay oven, its crust darkening, filling the air with sweetness. The Roman home is not silent, but its sounds are softer: the scrape of a ladle, the crackle of firewood, the faint clink of clay bowls being set in their places. The triclinium, the dining room, awaits. Low couches are arranged in a U-shape around a table, inviting the family to recline as they share their meal. The table itself is modest yet carefully prepared: bowls of olives glistening with oil, platters of cheese, figs split open to reveal their red flesh, jugs of wine waiting to be poured. Meals in Rome are not only about food, but about company, conversation, the weaving together of voices and stories. As the family gathers, the atmosphere is warm, familiar. Children chatter softly, their voices rising and falling like birdsong. Parents listen, laugh, and reply with patience. Servants move quietly, refilling cups, bringing dishes, and clearing plates. The meal stretches on, not hurried, not pressed by time, but flowing gently, as though the family has all the hours of the day to sit together. Outside, the city continues to move, but here, within these walls, life is slower. The house breathes in its own rhythm, separate from the city, yet part of it still. Every sound, every movement is small, gentle, deliberate. You feel time stretching, slowing, until hours feel like moments, and moments like hours. As evening approaches, lamps are lit once more, their flames flickering warmly against the painted walls. The shrine of the household gods glows in the dim light, offerings renewed, prayers whispered softly. The air is filled again with the scent of cooking stews simmering, herbs crackling in oil. Shadows grow longer, and the house settles into night. You find yourself seated once more in the atrium, watching as the last light fades from the compluvium above. The sky beyond is deep blue now, streaked with the first stars. The pool of the impluvium reflects their faint glimmer, a mirror of the heavens within the heart of the home. The sounds of the streets return, faintly, like an echo. Voices, footsteps, the distant call of a vendor still lingering late. But here, within these walls, you are sheltered, embraced by the warmth of family, by the steadiness of home. You breathe deeply, slowly. The air is warm, calm, filled with the sense of earth and fire and food. And you feel yourself drifting, sinking, carried deeper into the stillness of this Roman household. An afternoon at the baths. The Roman home is a place of quiet rhythm, of shaded courtyards and gentle family voices. But as the afternoon unfolds, another custom draws you outward once more, into the life of the city. It is time for the baths, not simply a washing of the body, but an experience woven into the fabric of Roman life, a ritual of cleansing, of community, of rest. You step back into the streets, the air now rich with the warmth of the sun. Shadows stretch long between the buildings, and the voices of the city carry further in the dry afternoon light. Your footsteps lead you toward one of the great thermae, the public baths, vast complexes of stone and marble that rise above the rooftops, their arches wide, their walls glowing in the sun. Approaching the entrance, you hear the hum of life within. The baths are more than places to wash, they are gathering spaces, sanctuaries, and theaters of daily existence. People stream in and out, men in tunics, children laughing, servants carrying bundles of towels and oils. For a small fee, anyone may enter, senators and shopkeepers alike, soldiers home from their duties, travelers weary from the road. The baths are Rome itself in miniature, a place where all gather, where the flow of water meets the flow of voices. You cross the threshold, and the world outside softens into something different. The noise of the streets fades into the steady rhythm of water, of footsteps echoing against stone. The first chamber greets you with coolness and shadows, the apoditerium, the changing room. Along the walls are niches where clothes and belongings are kept. People move quietly here, undressing, folding garments, handing them to attendants who keep careful watch. There is no rush, no urgency, only the calm acceptance of ritual, as if each movement has been repeated countless times before. Stepping deeper, you enter the frigidarium, the cold room. The air is sharp, cool against your skin after the warmth of the streets. Pools of clear water lie beneath vaulted ceilings, their surfaces still, reflecting the play of light across marble columns. A few bathers slip silently into the water, gasping softly at the chill before surrendering to its embrace. The cold shocks the body, sharpens the senses, awakens the spirit. You pause at the edge, dipping your fingers into the water, feeling the bite of its coolness, the way it clings and refreshes all at once. From here, the path leads onward, to warmth. You pass through archways into the tepidarium, the warm room, where the air is gentler, wrapped in soft heat. The floor beneath you glows faintly with warmth, carried upward from the hypocaust, the ingenious system of fires and raised flooring that heats these great halls. The walls are smooth with polished marble, their surfaces glistening with faint moisture. Here, bathers recline on benches, their skin warmed, their bodies relaxing. Voices murmur quietly, the conversations of the city unfolding in the softened air. Servants move among them, carrying oils in small clay jars. A man pours a measure into his palm, rubbing it slowly across his arms, the scent rising into the air, olive oil infused with herbs, fragrant and calming. Another lies upon a stone table as an attendant scrapes oil and sweat from his skin with a curved strigil, the motion slow, practiced, steady. The body is cleansed not only by water, but by touch, by care, by ritual. Beyond the tepidarium lies the caldarium, the hot room, where heat gathers thick and heavy, wrapping itself around you like a cloak. Steam drifts in the air, curling upward into the high vaults, blurring the edges of the... You ease into the water yourself, feeling its warmth envelop you. Muscles soften, breath slows, time itself stretches and bends. Around you, others sink into the same calm, strangers sharing silence, sharing rest. The baths are crowded, yet they feel spacious, as though each person is carried into their own private stillness within the larger whole. Steam gathers on your skin, on your face, beating into droplets that slip slowly downward. The warmth seeps into your bones, loosening every tension, every strain. You close your eyes and drift, floating in the gentle hum of water and voices. When the heat grows too deep, you step once more into the frigidarium, plunging into the cold water with a gasp, your body alive with contrast. Then again into warmth, into steam, into stillness. The cycle repeats, cold to hot to cold, each transition carrying you deeper into a sense of renewal, of release. Beyond the bathing halls, the complex stretches further. There are gardens here, where bathers stroll between trees and statues, breathing the air, letting the sun touch their skin. There are libraries, where scrolls rest in alcoves, and readers sit quietly in the shade, their voices low as they share passages aloud. There are porticos lined with columns, where philosophers debate, where friends gather, where strangers meet and drift into conversation. The baths are not only water. They are life. They are community, rest, and reflection. Within these walls, the divisions of class and rank soften. Here, the emperor himself might bathe alongside the common man, their voices carried into the same still air, their bodies warmed by the same water. As the afternoon wanes, the baths begin to empty. Voices grow quieter, footsteps fewer. Lamps are lit in the darker corners, their flames flickering gently against marble walls. The pools, once crowded, now ripple softly, their surfaces reflecting the last golden light of the day. You linger a little longer, seated by the edge of the tepidarium, the warm air wrapping around you. The fountain trickles nearby, it sounds steady, soothing, eternal. The baths are more than stone and water, they are a rhythm, a breathing, a heartbeat of the city. And for a moment, you are part of it, your breath blending with the steam, your stillness folded into the calm of Rome. When at last you rise to leave, the world outside greets you with cool air, the sun dipping low toward the horizon. The streets are touched with evening now, the bustle of the day softening into something quieter. Behind you, the baths stand tall, their arches glowing faintly in the fading light, guardians of a ritual that binds the people of Rome together. And you cleanse, warmed, still step back into the city, carrying the peace of the baths with you, as the eternal city moves gently toward the embrace of night. The Roman Forum at sunset. The afternoon warmth clings softly to your skin as you step out from the baths and back into the streets of Rome. The air is different now, lighter, gentler, touched by the first cool hints of evening. Above the rooftops, the sky has begun its slow transformation, the fierce blaze of the sun softening into molten gold. Shadows stretch long across the cobbled roads, spilling from doorways, drifting from columns, weaving patterns that sway with each shifting beam of light. Your feet carry you toward the center of the city, toward the very heart of Rome's public life, the Forum. For centuries it has stood as the gathering place of the people, the stage on which the daily life of the Republic, and now the Empire, has played out. To walk into the Forum at this hour is to step not only into a space of stone and marble, but into a living tapestry of voices, of footsteps, of countless lives interwoven. The path leads downward, for the Forum lies in a shallow valley, its wide expanse framed by the Palatine and Capitoline hills. As you approach, the murmur of the city shifts, not the single hum of a marketplace, but a mingling chorus, the cry of merchants closing their stalls, the laughter of children darting between pillars, the measured tones of men deep in conversation. Then the space opens before you. The Forum stretches wide beneath the sky, its paving stones glowing in the amber light of sunset. Temples rise at its edges, their columns catching the sun, their shadows reaching long across the square. Statues of marble and bronze stand solemn in the fading light, generals and gods, senators and emperors, their forms eternal, their gazes fixed beyond the flow of time. At this hour, the Forum is neither empty nor crowded. It breathes with a softer rhythm, the frenzy of midday business giving way to something calmer, more reflective. Merchants fold cloths over their wares, stacking amphorae, gathering coins into purses. The clang of hammers in the smiths. Farther along, near the Basilica Julia, children gather in a small cluster, their laughter carrying lightly through the air. They play with carved wooden pieces, scattering them across the stones, their joy unbroken by the weight of history that surrounds them. Their voices rise, bright and clear, and then soften again, blending into the gentle hum of the square. The golden light shifts as the sun leans lower, catching the tops of the columns, painting them in fire before slipping into shadow. The Arch of Titus gleams for a final moment, its carved reliefs glowing with warmth, each line of stone alive with the sun's farewell. Then the glow slides downward, leaving the arch in coolness, its history once again etched in pale stone. Around you, conversations unfold in quiet tones. Two senators walk together, their robes drawn close, their heads bent as they speak. Their words are measured, deliberate, yet softened by the hour, their gestures slower, their voices lower than in the heat of the day. Near the steps of the rostra, a group of younger men linger, their laughter mingling with the rustle of scrolls as they share verses, perhaps lines of Virgil or Horace, their voices carrying into the open air. The forum is not only politics and trade. It is a memory. It is poetry. It is a place where ideas drift like the scent of incense, mingling in the evening air. Even as the day wanes, the space holds an energy, a quiet pulse that continues long after the stalls are closed and the crowds have thinned. You pause near a fountain, its water trickling steadily, a sound older than the city itself. The stone basin is worn smooth by countless hands, its rim cool beneath your fingers. You lean close, letting the cool water touch your face, its freshness carrying with it the weight of centuries. Around the fountain, a few others gather, a woman filling a jug, a child reaching playfully into the stream, a traveler rinsing dust from his sandals. The fountain binds them all, as the forum binds the city. As the sun lowers further, the air begins to change. A coolness seeps into the square, mingling with the warmth still rising from the stones. Lamps are lit at the edges of the basilicas, their flames flickering gently, casting halos of gold against the gathering dusk. The forum shifts once more, its outlines softening, its colors deepening, its voices quieting. You climb the steps of the temple of Castor and Pollux, pausing halfway to look across the square. From here, the forum spreads wide beneath you, the marble and stone glowing faintly in the last light. You see the lines of columns, the arches, the shadows stretching long across the paving. And beyond, the hills rise dark against the sky, their edges. The people move like shadows now, their forms softened, their steps unhurried. A woman gathers her children, her voice low, gentle, guiding them home. A pair of men finish their conversation, clasp hands, and part ways, their figures drifting into opposite directions. A stray dog noses at the stones near the edge of the square, then trots silently into the growing dark. The forum at sunset is not a place of endings, but of transitions. It is the bridge between the noise of the day and the stillness of the night. In its quiet, you feel the weight of history, but also the softness of the present, the sense that life continues, gently, endlessly, beneath the watchful eyes of temples and arches, of statues and stones. You remain for a while, seated upon the steps, watching as the light fades completely. The sky deepens into shades of violet and rose, the first stars trembling faintly above the rooftops. The lamps glow brighter now, their light warm against the cool stone. The forum breathes slowly, steadily, like the city itself, like Rome itself. And as you rise at last, stepping down once more into the square, you carry with you the peace of this hour, the golden silence of the forum at sunset, the still heartbeat of the eternal city, poised between day and night. Nights beneath the Roman sky. The last golden threads of sunlight have vanished beyond the western hills, and Rome settles into twilight. The stones of the forum, still warm from the day's embrace, now hold a gentle glow, their heat softening into coolness. Above, the sky deepens into indigo, the faintest glimmer of stars appearing like tiny lanterns set high upon a vast, celestial dome. You step quietly away from the forum, your footsteps softened by the deepening night. The air is cooler now, carrying with it the mingled scents of the city, olive oil and bread, wood smoke curling from distant hearths, the faint tang of sea salt drifting upriver from the Tiber. The noises of the day have thinned. Where once the square rang with voices and clatter, Now the streets breathe with a gentler rhythm, the call of a vendor selling the last of his figs, the soft bray of a donkey returning to its stable, the rustle of fabric as shutters are drawn across windows. The eternal city has not gone silent. Rome never truly sleeps. But as night falls, its pulse changes. It slows. It softens. It invites you into its quieter self. At the crest, the city opens beneath you. Rome spreads wide in every direction, a sea of rooftops and domes, their edges blurred in the softening dark. Tiny lamps flicker like fireflies across the cityscape, pinpricks of warmth glowing from windows, from doorways, from streets where neighbors gather still. Beyond them, the Tiber glimmers faintly, a ribbon of silver winding through the land, its waters reflecting the rising stars. You sit upon a low stone, one of many that once formed the walls of palaces long gone. From here, the heavens seem impossibly vast. The night has deepened fully now, the velvet sky scattered with constellations, Orion with his belt of stars, Cassiopeia's throne tilted across the horizon, the steady glow of Jupiter rising bright above the hills. The Romans looked upon these same skies, weaving their gods and stories into the constellations, seeing in their patterns the guiding hands of fate. For a long while, you simply breathe. The night air is cool against your skin, carrying the faint sound of a lyre drifting from a courtyard far below. The music is slow, deliberate, each note stretching like a thread into the silence, then fading, leaving room for the whisper of the breeze. A dog barks once, somewhere in the distance, then is quiet again. From this height, the city feels eternal. You sense not only the lives unfolding in this very moment, a mother humming her child to sleep, a pair of friends sharing wine in a shaded atrium, a guard pacing along a lamplit street, but also the countless lives that have passed before, and those yet to come. The stars above, constant and unchanging, hold all these moments in their light. When you rise, you wander slowly back down the hill, drawn once more into the weave of the city. The streets are dim, lit here and there by oil lamps that flicker against walls of plaster and stone. Shadows stretch across the cobblestones, soft and elongated, moving gently as the flames waver. In doorways, families sit together, sharing the last meal of the day, their voices low and comforting. The scent of lentils, herbs, and warm bread drifts from one open window, mingling with the sharper smoke of a brazier where chestnuts roast. You pause at a small shrine built into the corner of a wall. A tiny flame flickers within, illuminating the painted image of a household god. Someone has left a handful of flowers upon the ledge, their petals pale in the lamplight. You bow your head for a moment, not in ritual, but in quiet respect for the small gestures that weave meaning into life. The streets grow quieter still as you make your way deeper into the night. A few figures pass, a man carrying a bundle of firewood, a woman with a basket balanced on her hip, two youths whispering to each other as they slip quickly along the alleyways. But most doors are closed now, most voices hushed. The city curls into itself, wrapping the day away like a scroll being tied with ribbon. At last, you emerge into an open courtyard. A fountain sings at its center, the water catching the starlight as it arcs and falls. You sit upon its edge, letting the cool stone steady you. The sound of the water mingles with the silence, a constant lullaby. Above, the sky is endless, the stars unblinking. You tilt your head back, letting your gaze dissolve into them, letting their vastness carry you beyond the streets, beyond the city, into the boundless quiet of the universe itself. Here, Rome sleeps. And yet, in its sleep, it dreams. Its streets hold the memory of footsteps, its walls remember the voices of the day, its stones keep the warmth of the sun. As you rest beneath the Roman sky, you, too, become part of this dream woven into the endless story of the eternal city, carried on through the hush of the night, beneath the steady watch of the stars. Homecomings and stories by the fire. The streets of Rome are hushed now, wrapped in the softness of night. A faint breeze drifts through the narrow lanes, stirring the last embers of the day. Oil lamps flicker low in their niches, casting gentle halos against plastered walls. From afar, you hear the faint lap of the Tiber's waters against the stone embankments, steady and timeless. The city has shifted into its evening rhythm, quiet, unhurried, thoughtful. Here, the family has gathered not for food, but for one another. The father reclines back, his toga loosened, his voice rich and low as he recounts a story from his own youth, of a campaign fought, of a storm weathered, of a triumph earned and remembered. His children listen with wide eyes, leaning closer as the tale grows vivid, their imaginations alight with images of marching legions and distant seas. Beside him, the mother hums softly as she mends a piece of cloth, her needle glinting in the lamplight. She pauses now and then to smile, to add a gentle word, to steady the story with warmth and truth. At her feet, the youngest child has already curled beneath a blanket, thumb tucked against his cheek, half listening as dreams begin to gather at the edges of his mind. The fire crackles softly, and in its glow, the household breathes together, voices, laughter, silence, all woven into the quiet tapestry of night. You are given a place among them, a cushion near the hearth. The warmth seeps into your bones, banishing the last coolness of the street. A cup of wine is pressed into your hand, its taste earthy and faintly sweet, diluted with water as Romans preferred. The conversation flows easily around you. Some words are light about the day's errands, about neighbors seen, about the taste of the baker's new loaf. Others are heavier, about crops, about politics, about the whispers carried through the forum. But none of it presses harshly upon the air. All is softened here, cushioned by the lateness of the hour, by the nearness of family, by the quiet promise of tomorrow. After a time, the father turns his tale into a story not of war, but of wonder. He speaks of myths told by his father before him, of Romulus and Remus, of the she-wolf who nurtured the founders of the city, of Mars the god of war and Venus the goddess of love. His voice rises and falls like the tide, steady and hypnotic. The children lean closer, eyes reflecting the firelight, until even the eldest rests her head upon her arm, lulled by the rhythm of words. And so the night deepens. The brazier burns lower, the fire turning to a soft glow. Shadows lengthen upon the walls, and the corners of the room dissolve into quiet. The stories slow, become more like murmurs, and then, finally, silence. Only the crackle of a last ember and the occasional sigh of the wind remain. The household prepares for sleep. One by one, the children are led to their beds, their small footsteps soft against the tiled floor. The mother folds away her sewing and drapes a cloth over the cooled platters. The father lingers by the brazier, gazing into its last glow as if searching for tomorrow's answers in its light. At last, he too turns away, leaving the room dark except for the faint glow of a single lamp. You are guided to a quiet corner, where a simple bed of blankets has been prepared. As you lie down, the cool linen brushes against your skin, and the steady warmth of the home gathers around you. From the next room comes the faintest whisper of lullabies, a melody as old as the city itself, sung to children now as it was sung generations before. Above, unseen beyond the roof, the stars continue their watch. The eternal city rests beneath them, cradled in their quiet glow. Your eyes grow heavy, your breath slows, and you sink into the comfort of the Roman home, into the warmth of fire, of family, of stories told in the hush of night. Here, at last, the journey folds into stillness. Here, the eternal city closes its eyes with you. And together, beneath the stars, you drift into the embrace of sleep. A soldier's legacy in the eternal city. Night has settled deeply over Rome. The fires within the homes have faded to embers, and the hum of voices has been stilled. From the forum to the hills, from the temples to the riverbanks, the eternal city lies cloaked in silence, breathing in unison with the stars above. You walk slowly through the quiet streets, feeling their cool stones beneath your steps. Shadows linger between the tall buildings, yet the moonlight finds its way, washing the marble columns in silver, catching the edges of tiled rooftops, softening even the proud arches of triumph with a pale glow. Rome sleeps, but even in sleep, it feels alive, immense, eternal, as though it holds the breath of every soul who has ever walked here. And among them, you think of one soul in particular. A soldier. Not a general, not an emperor, not a name written in marble. But an ordinary soldier of Rome, one of countless thousands, whose footsteps once echoed just as yours do now. His life was not carved in statues or preserved in scrolls, yet his legacy lingers in the stones, in the walls, in the memory of the city that was his home. Imagine him, long ago, returning from a campaign. His armor scuffed, his sandals worn, his body weary from the road. He enters these same streets, greeted by the glow of torches and the warmth of voices calling his name. He steps into his home, embraces his children, listens to the laughter that fills the night. He tells his stories by the fire, as fathers have always done, and then, at last, he too rests beneath the Roman sky. Time passes. The soldier grows older. Seasons turn, empires shift, rulers rise and fall. But his days are simple meals shared, fields tended, prayers offered at the household shrine. His life weaves itself quietly into the fabric of the city, like a thread in a vast tapestry. When at last he is gone, Rome does not stop. Yet some trace of him remains in every stone, every shadow, every whisper of the city at night. The house breathes in its own rhythm, separate from the city, yet part of it still. Every sound, every movement is small, gentle, deliberate. You feel time stretching, slowing, until hours feel like moments, and moments like hours. As evening approaches, lamps are lit once more, their flames flickering warmly against the painted walls. The shrine of the household gods glows in the dim light, offerings renewed, prayers whispered softly. The air is filled again with the scent of cooking stews simmering, herbs crackling in oil. Shadows grow longer, and the house settles into night. You find yourself seated once more in the atrium, watching as the last light fades from the compluvium above. The sky beyond is deep blue now, streaked with the first stars. The pool of the impluvium reflects their faint glimmer, a mirror of the heavens within the heart of the home. The sounds of the streets return, faintly, like an echo. Voices, footsteps, the distant call of a vendor still lingering late. But here, within these walls, you are sheltered, embraced by the warmth of family, by the steadiness of home. You breathe deeply, slowly. The air is warm, calm, filled with the sense of earth and fire and food. And you feel yourself drifting, sinking, carried deeper into the stillness of this Roman household. An afternoon at the baths. The Roman home is a place of quiet rhythm, of shaded courtyards and gentle family voices. But as the afternoon unfolds, another custom draws you outward once more, into the life of the city. It is time for the baths, not simply a washing of the body, but an experience woven into the fabric of Roman life, a ritual of cleansing, of community, of rest. You step back into the streets, the air now rich with the warmth of the sun. Shadows stretch long between the buildings, and the voices of the city carry further in the dry afternoon light. Your footsteps lead you toward one of the great thermae, the public baths, vast complexes of stone and marble that rise above the rooftops, their arches wide, their walls glowing in the sun. Approaching the entrance, you hear the hum of life within. The baths are more than places to wash, they are gathering spaces, sanctuaries, and theaters of daily existence. People stream in and out, men in tunics, children laughing, servants carrying bundles of towels and oils. For a small fee, anyone may enter, senators and shopkeepers alike, soldiers home from their duties, travelers weary from the road. The baths are Rome itself in miniature, a place where all gather, where the flow of water meets the flow of voices.